going to the Patriots. Colin, Jordan Mailata, the left tackle of the Eagles, spoke. And honestly, this is one of the best sound bites I've heard the entire offseason. Here's Jordan Mailata on the A.J. Brown trade.
This is more of a, it sounds terrible, but thank God it's over. It was the slow pain of just, is he in, is he out? We didn't really know, and that really wasn't our focus as a team. Our team, especially at the offense, we got to keep these wheels moving. We got new guys coming in, we got rookies coming in. Again, we got to build that culture.
Yeah, Philly's fine.
That's amazing.
I think their receiving core with Devontae Smith, Mekhi Lemon, they're above average at tight end. I think they're fine. I don't worry about Philadelphia at all. It's like I said, everybody's going to talk about the Rams getting Garrett. Cleveland got Jared Verse in 3 picks. Cleveland did great on that deal, too. Philadelphia moves off A.J. Brown, but they got a pick, and they've been building their receiving core for a month before they did it. They went and got Wicks. They drafted Mekhi Lemon. Philadelphia is going to be fine. I never worry about Philadelphia. When they don't move the ball, it's generally a coordinator issue working in conjunction with Jalen Hurts issue. It's not a wide receiver issue. They're fine at that space.
Yeah, you could argue that, this is addition by subtraction. Yes, A.J. Brown's great. Yes, he stretches the field. But, man, the nonsense, the headaches. I mean, when you got an offensive lineman saying, thank God it's over, Colin, this is like everybody can breathe in the locker room now. Hey, we don't need to get that inflatable rabbit for week 6. We're good. Everything's fine. Nobody's reading books on the sideline. We don't have lip readers. I think this is almost like a sigh of relief for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. I think they're going to be great this year. I'll put them in the NFC Championship against the Rams.
I don't have a problem with it. I don't. I think they will obviously be better at OC. I mean, and again, I'm not picking on anybody, but whatever happened last year in the building didn't work. Same with Detroit. It's nothing against Johnny Morton. Whatever was going on in the building in Detroit, at some point Dan Campbell took over the play calling, so it wasn't working. I don't know why it wasn't working, but it wasn't working. And sometimes, Bruce Arians and Brady are both great. They got tired of each other. Like sometimes it's a clash of personalities, it's a schematic or a stylistic change. Brady wants to beat you with death by 1,000 cuts. Arians wants the ball over the top. They're both great, but they just see the world differently. Philadelphia, and I've said this, in the league in 2026, offensive coordinators outside of head coach and quarterback could be the 3rd most important thing for a football team, your OC.
Where was all this intensity last year? Where was all this energy during the previous season? What is even happening right now? I feel like I'm trapped in a funhouse. In some remote rural spot where there's nobody else around. I feel like I'm walking into a horror movie. Like when you're in a dream, you're at a carnival, and there are maybe 4 people there, and you're just thinking, what is going on? And then you randomly find yourself in a hall of mirrors, and then you're randomly eating cotton candy but it tastes like popcorn, and then suddenly you're eating sushi, and you think, I'm eating sushi at a carnival? What kind of production is this? What is even happening? And then someone who's clearly not your mother says, okay, time to go, and you're like, what? But you're not my mom, you're my old neighbor from when I was 5. What's happening? What is this? Where am I? What is going on? What is happening? We're not worried about the Eagles at all. The Eagles are now supposed to be in the NFC Championship game against the Los Angeles Rams. I thought losing A.J. Brown was devastating. I genuinely thought it was devastating. Now we want to say, well, it was a coordination issue. But then he added, as well as a little bit of Jalen Hurts sprinkled in there. And now it's, oh, we were so close. We were so close. But it's like, no, coordinating is really important. Oh, and the Eagles happen to have a really bad coordinator. Okay, got it. Got it. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm not worried about Philadelphia at all. You should be worried if Jalen Hurts isn't a good quarterback. And if Sirianni isn't a good coach. And I thought the Eagles missed out on the coordinator they truly wanted. Meanwhile, all the reports about Sean Mannion are absolutely through the roof. Pretty incredible. And of course, Mailata is saying the quiet part out loud. Did you hear what he said? He said, are you in or out? Is he in or out? He specifically put it squarely on AJ, bro, who are you right now? What's the story here? The phrasing of that was very much on the individual, AJ. Not like, well, is he going to be here or not? Are we going to have him? It was just very much square on you. And he said, we've got other things to worry about, man. There are a lot of moving parts here. AJ had been the problem. AJ had been the problem. You can be well liked in the locker room and still be a problem. You understand that, right? You understand that there can be a duality? Multiple things can be happening at once. Jalen Hurts was not the foundational problem here. The issues were that the team was banged up, couldn't perform at their highest level, the coordination was bad, and AJ Brown brought an energy that you simply do not want in the locker room. And just look at how he's handled this entire situation. This is literally the definition of addition by subtraction. That doesn't mean they're going to immediately hit the ground running. These things take time. I'm going to do another clip about this. Dan Orlovsky, I saw the first couple of sentences of what he said, and I thought, okay, I need to turn this into a separate segment, so I just stopped. I don't even know what else he says after that, but I loved his opening. He basically said this is going to take time. You have to give it until November. It's an entirely new scheme, offense, etc. I've got other clips saved, this is why I always save clips, and I'll put them all together to make a nice little fun video. But yeah, this stuff will take time. It's going to take a minute or two, which is totally fair and makes sense. But there's got to be so much excitement here. So much excitement in the building, knowing they're free from AJ Brown, free from all this nonsense. The reality is that the Philadelphia Eagles have been great with and without AJ. They won a Super Bowl without AJ Brown. They built a team without him. The Eagles are such a respected franchise within the NFL community and among players that there's no sense that AJ was the heart and soul who made the Eagles go. No, everyone understands that it's the franchise. They all know it. Again, just ask former and current players. They understand it. They know it. It's why players want to be there so badly. It's why players know that once they're there, there's genuine potential to win it all. You don't get that same energy everywhere. You don't get that energy in Dallas. You don't get that energy in New York. Yo. You don't get that energy in Washington. You don't get that energy in Minnesota. You don't get that in Las Vegas. You don't get that in San Diego or Los Angeles. You don't get that everywhere. That doesn't mean they can't build great teams or be competitive, but it is known. It is known. Combine that with how they treat their players. Do you realize that other players are looking at what the Rams did and saying, wow, they just moved on from verse, yeah, we all understand about Myles Garrett, but you just threw him aside like he was nothing. He was becoming the leader of your team, the face of your franchise. He's working out with Aaron Donald and all that, he's supposed to be the next one to wear the crown in LA. And you just say, nah, we're good. We're sending you to Cleveland. The Eagles didn't do that with Jalen Carter. They said, we're not doing that. Are you kidding me? Players know that. Players feel that. Players recognize that. Players understand that. I mean, Saquon Barkley got paid with the Eagles. And players understand because people ask, oh, why did they do this? And it's because the Eagles know. I still think of Mekhi Becton when he was in tears, so grateful for what Philly provided him. He said, they treated me like I was drafted here. Like I was one of them. And he said that's just not how it works in other places. Players know that. Players feel that. I was talking to my mom because I just love this story, Max Crosby saying you dream of playing for a team like Philly. You dream of playing for a fan base like Philly. Those were his words, completely unprovoked. And he goes into a whole story about the crowd and the fans. This is a man who's played football his entire life. He has no actual direct connection to Philly in that way. And the fact that he says those things is remarkable. Things got so crazy with T.O. More people are talking about T.O. these days because of AJ Brown. Things got so crazy with T.O., things I didn't even realize because I was too young. And he still says, oh yeah, Philly, that fan base, amazing. There's nothing else like it. And T.O., he could easily say, Philly's trash, they're this, they're that. Meanwhile, Philly is the only team that actually provided him a Super Bowl opportunity. Kind of a common denominator with the Eagles. But yeah, man, the story is getting clearer and clearer. And this coming season is just going to be so fascinating. The volume is going to be turned up to the maximum. The temperature is going to be turned up to the maximum. It's going to be 100 degrees and a million decibels. The volume is just going to be relentless. Remember the Minnesota Vikings? They actually got a lot of attention this past year, especially because of Sam Darnold leaving and what happened with them. But they were one of two teams that the media doesn't really hyper-focus on, the Seattle Seahawks and the Minnesota Vikings. They're not opening all the shows about Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. Weeks. I always talk about this, we talked about the Eagles more than the Seahawks, and then the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. So it's just really interesting. Now we're talking about the Eagles and the Patriots, especially the Eagles. So how do you think the attention is going to be moving forward? Every time Jalen Hurts fails or the Eagles fail, every time A.J. Brown catches a touchdown, every time A.J. Brown doesn't catch a touchdown and looks unhappy on the sideline because he doesn't get targets, or the Patriots aren't even going to win the division. However you want to slice it, whatever you think is going to happen, the hyperfocus is there. Because we got a glimpse of what it could be with Seattle and Minnesota. And those are two teams that no sports show is lining up to say, we need to make our whole show about the Minnesota Vikings. Now we're about the Philadelphia Eagles. We're talking about the Eagles right now, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. Just think about how much this has dominated not just last year, but the entire offseason. Crazy. It's crazy. And Drake May is the next quarterback that everybody wants to be king. He's the next guy everyone is ready to say, that's the guy. That's the guy. So it's just going to be wild. It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. But on the flip side, can you imagine if the Eagles win? Colin said, oh, you know, the Eagles. I've got no problem with the Eagles being in the NFC Championship game going up against the Rams. See? And you imagine that? Can you imagine if the Eagles take down the stacked Los Angeles Rams? Again, can you imagine this? It's so wild. I just saw another comment from someone, he's an interesting cat. I'll probably use this comment in a future video, but I'll end here because he said, if Jalen Hurts was just a really good quarterback, the Eagles would be in the midst of a dynasty right now. And it's like, in 2022, Jalen Hurts literally couldn't have played any better. Andy Reid himself said it was one of the greatest performances he's ever seen. So thinking that another quarterback would have done better in 2022 is just an illogical statement. In 2023, no matter who the quarterback was, you weren't winning a Super Bowl with that team and that coaching staff. And then in 2024, they literally won the Super Bowl. And then in 2025, considering all the issues, please tell me the quarterback. Matthew Stafford had the better team, the better running game, the better offensive line. He was considered the MVP. They lost. They lost, okay? So if you bring Matthew Stafford to that Eagles team, they would have magically won? I'm not so sure about that. And we've seen other quarterbacks over the years, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, different degrees of great teams, average teams, awesome teams. We haven't really seen them win. So, That's where I always say we get farther and farther from reality. By the way, that guy was saying that I'm a hater. He said, stop being a hater. Meanwhile, the things he's saying are just, it's kind of fascinating. At heart, I'll always be a psych nerd, that counseling background. I'll always find it fascinating how people, the masses, individuals operate on a psychological level. It's so fascinating to me. Even just hearing right now, I think the Eagles could be in the NFC Championship game, and it's like, wait, what? And then, oh, you know, coordinating, they couldn't move the ball, a big part of that was coordinating. And I think, wait, what? I thought it was because Jalen Hurts couldn't get A.J. Brown the ball. Oh my God. What are we talking about now? What are we doing? All of this is so fascinating. Watching all the conversations around A.J., Jalen, the Eagles, everyone's different views and opinions, the comment section, fans, people like Colin, people like J-Mac, people like Nick, people on ESPN, Orloff Sky, just seeing it all unfold is so fascinating. Even the other story about what potentially went wrong with AJ and that whole love triangle, why aren't people touching that? But they were so quick to touch all the other things. Why is that now not something they're investigating, when they investigated other things? It's just weird. And this is where I try so hard, and I'll definitely end here. It's something I really do try my best at. I was going to say take pride in, but I want a different word. I don't like pride. It's a sin. But in 2024, I was harsh on Baker Mayfield. And Tom Brady came out and pretty much ripped Baker. I disagreed with what Brady said, and I understood what he was saying, but I did a whole breakdown about it. I felt it was necessary because if I'm in a position to defend him or speak positively about him, I want to be able to do that. I don't want to just air out the negatives, even if that's my honest analysis. I wanted to make sure to do that. That then allows me, if I want to speak negatively or if my analysis is this is not good, I can point back and say, I'm obviously not just saying negative things about him. I'm giving as complete a picture as I personally can. This is not hate. This is not bias. This is just my general conclusions. And I don't see that in many other places. I really don't. Is no one else willing to just have a real conversation and say, wait a second, we've talked about this for years now. Seriously, since 2024, probably midway through 2023, that Jalen Hurts is a problem. Don't we think we owe it to everyone to say, why don't we actually unpack how A.J. Brown could be the problem? The troubles that A.J. Brown brings. We talk about all the anonymous sources, oh, Jalen's not liked in the locker room, this and that. So why don't we talk about that with A.J. Brown? Why don't we try to tell the whole story? Why don't we try to paint the whole picture? Why don't we strive to get to the absolute truth? It's always funny because we talk about bias and unbiased, it's inescapable in anything, but especially the sports talk world. Biases will always exist. People say, oh, you're biased, or others appreciate me because they believe I'm unbiased. The reality for me is I just want to get to the reality of the situation. I want to be accurate. That's what it boils down to more than anything, chasing accuracy. If you chase bias and fandom, you're guaranteed to be wrong plenty of times. You're already guaranteed to be wrong in general because it's impossible. You think Tom Brady can pick the winner of every single football game? I guarantee you he can't. And don't try to tell me you know more about football than Tom Brady. The remarkable thing is that you can be Tom Brady and still get plenty of things wrong. That's Tom Brady. So why do you think I'm going to be perfect? How do you think you're going to be? Chase reality. Chase accuracy. I've said this a million times. The moment I reach the conclusion that Jalen Hurts is a problem, the moment I reach the conclusion that it's time for the Eagles to move on from Jalen Hurts, I will be the first one to say it. I'll say it's time for the Eagles to move on from Jalen. It's time for the Bob Smith era in Philly. And I'll celebrate it, praise it, and talk about how great the Eagles are, how smart they are, they got everything they could out of Jalen. The moment they reached that conclusion, they didn't bat an eyelash and moved on, because that's how great the Eagles are. And I'll use it as a reference, and when they win a Super Bowl, I'll say, see? This is what the Eagles did. And I'll keep on keeping on, and I'll make videos all about Bob Smith. That's how it works. Chase accuracy. Chase reality. JWL Sports, chase reality, chase accuracy. That's the new little promo headline, the tagline. That's what it is. JWL Sports, chase accuracy, chase reality. Oh, I like that. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you all think about the Eagles and the fact that Colin has no problems with them? He thinks they're going to be great, NFC Championship game, let's go, finally admitting Kevin Patullo was a problem, and that's why they got, we kept saying it was Jalen Hurts. Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment, whether you agree with me or disagree. Let's get into discussions, get into fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here. I'd absolutely love to see you be part of it. We're going to build something we all feel connected to, something we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, it really helps with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.